Hello there, and welcome to today's daily live. I'm going to give it a sec because I know it is broadcasting in several places. But while people are coming on, welcome. My name is Patrice Washington. I am the founder and creator of Redefining Wealth, which is a movement that just seeks to make sure that wealth is so much more than just money and material possessions. My community, which has been established for 7 going on 8 years now, is really about helping people understand that wealth is just more than money and material possessions. If it were just that, lots of people would be okay. But the reality is, the true definition of wealth is the condition of well being and happiness. And so, as someone trained in financial psychology, MBA in behavioral finance, what I try to do is just bring more to the topic, make personal finance more holistic, because there are parts of your life that are impacting your finances, your career, your purpose, your ability to get more tangible financial wealth. Outside of just talking about budgets and credit reports, there are so many other things and parts of your life that impact your finances. And so that's what we are here to talk about today. Is one of those pillars that I teach from. Again, if you're brand new, welcome. Redefining wealth is rooted in 6 pillars of wealth. And so we have these different areas we talk about. There's the fit pillar, which is about becoming your best self, both mentally and physically. We talk about the people pillar, which is about creating relationships that matter, both personally and professionally. And we talk about space, setting up your life to support you, faith, believing in something greater, work, living your life's purpose, and then finally, money, managing the money you do have wisely and attracting the abundance you desire. And I see folks checking in. So shout out to California, Georgia, Texas is on the map. Hello, hello. Make sure again that as you come on in, you say hello. I believe that StreamYard is still gathering our audience from YouTube and from LinkedIn and Facebook. So let me just set it up as folks are getting on, or let me make announcements. So, what you should know is that I actually go live every single day. I'm in the midst of a 365-day consistency challenge. December 15th, 2024, I decided to challenge myself to show up every day and give God something to bless. And the way that that occurred to me was to show up in the Redefining Wealth app, which is a free community we have for everyone who is a part of the Redefining Wealth movement. If you're here, that could include you. I originally created it for members of my podcast community, which is a global community of folks who call themselves purpose chasers. And that doesn't mean that we don't like money. It means that we make decisions rooted from faith, not fear. We don't only make decisions from the fear of, well, how much is the paycheck? Then I'll decide. We look at whether our purpose is actually aligned with something and then the paycheck. And so this community was originally founded for listeners of the Redefining Wealth podcast, but really open to all who align with that message. And so every single day, I have been going live in the Redefining Wealth app since December 15th. And whether it is 10 minutes or an hour, there's always a word. I believe life is always speaking to you. And one of the things that I love to do as a thought leader is make distinctions based on what I am seeing in real time. So rarely is it curated that it's like, oh, I have this list of 365 things I'm going to talk about for the next year. No, not at all. One of the big things that we have gotten to at Redefining Wealth is learning how to trust yourself, learning how to trust your soul, learning how to lean in to what you are feeling called to share and who you're feeling called to be. And that's a part of what I want to talk about this evening, because we are coming off the heels of the Super Bowl just yesterday. And have you guys seen all the think pieces all over social media about what Kendrick Lamar meant by every little detail, and people demanding that other folks contribute to the conversation? And we've been seeing this so much over the last several weeks. We are only, what, 5 or 6 weeks into 2025, and we have seen so much happen from the election or inauguration, I should say, to the wildfires in California, which is my home state, and just any number of things. There's been so much. It does feel like we have already lived through 6 months of 2025. But I talked before about how to find peace in the chaos. And one of the things that I shared was like that you really need to be focused on your vision. It's not that you're not aware of what's going on in the world, but it's this need to be tuned in all day, every day, taking in all of this energy and therefore distracting yourself from what you said you still desired. Because I believe that even in the midst of times of uncertainty, purpose, excuse me, is not postponed, and your vision is still valid. And so there's still things that we need to make sure we're staying focused on. And I just thought it was so interesting from the time the Super Bowl ended last night, right up until just a few minutes ago. Every time I happen to open my phone to social media, there's so many think pieces going on. How many have you read? How many of you have read all of the things? You've read all of the things, all of the hidden meanings, the secret meanings. And then how many of you, if you're radically honest, over these last several weeks, every time something has happened, you have been uncertain about whether you should share, and if you do share anything, what you should share? Can I make sure I'm in the right place? Because I just stopped by because I know that many of us who have built platforms or are building platforms feel the pressure of platform. I said years ago that I did not want to be a prisoner to purpose. I did a podcast episode about that on redefining wealth. I don't want to be a prisoner to purpose because I have said yes to a certain calling doesn't mean I want to be held captive and be bullied or forced into every time something happens, I need to have something to say. And I want to talk about that because I realize that there's such a tension. A lot of the people that I serve are building their own platforms as podcasters, as authors, as speakers. A lot of the women that I work with, they have these platforms that they outside of their 9 to 5 jobs. And when something happens, and no matter what it is, if it's a religious thing, if it's a political thing, if it's pop culture, if it's, just any number of things, there is a pressure that many people experience that says, oh my gosh, I feel like I need to say something. I saw 2 people say, yes, that's me. Anybody else? Has anybody else ever felt that tension and that pressure? You felt the tension and pressure. There's a tension and pressure that anytime something happens, you have to have an opinion and you have to say something, which only does what? For some of you, it brings on energy that you're not even ready to manage or participate in. And you didn't necessarily do it because you desire to, you did it because you thought you had to. And I think that we live in a culture, and this has been going on definitely for the last 5 years, I would say since the pandemic, where too often people just feel bullied into speaking on every trending topic that comes out, right? And it is this appearance that, oh, I need to be woke. I need to be relevant. I need to seem like I am in the know. I need to seem like because I'm a thought leader, I have an opinion about all the things. But here is the truth that I just stopped by to share briefly today. I believe that a lot of that pressure comes from scarcity mindset. I think that sometimes there is that outside pressure, but then we amplify that noise inside because there's a fear that if we're not constantly speaking, you will become irrelevant. If I don't always have something to say, will I even seem like I'm in the know and on top of things? And I teach a speaker training called Command the Stage. It's actually coming back this year. And to open Command the Stage, I usually do a webinar called Speak with Purpose. Anybody ever attended Speak with Purpose? If you're here in the chat, have you ever attended Speak with Purpose? Because I talk about the anatomy of transformational talk, the anatomy of a transformational speaker. I see people saying absolutely been there. Okay, cool. And so and speak with purpose, that is my intention, that whenever we speak, we are doing so purposefully, right? We are doing so with purpose. And I see Vivian's comment. That's really good. I don't feel compelled to say anything, but holding all the thoughts in weighs heavy as well on one's emotional health. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm going to address that to Vivian. So that was a really great comment that you shared there. And I have something for both. So I just wanted to kind of gauge like what you guys were experiencing, what you're thinking about. But I do think there comes some scarcity mindset, especially as someone building a platform, that when you don't say anything, it seems like you're irrelevant or you're not paying attention or you're not, you don't have any thoughts. Some of that could be rooted in FOMO, but FOMO, fear of missing out, is not necessarily linked to authenticity. It is actually quite the opposite. So when we're experiencing FOMO, we feel like we have to perform for people. And then how aligned is that actually? Where you're not coming from a place of purpose, you're coming from a place of performance. And even in watching some of the things that I've seen and the way that it was rolled out, you could tell that some people are literally just jockeying for performance. It's clickbait. I just want to be a part of the conversation. I need to seem woke. I need to seem like I'm on it. And some of them, honestly, I think are just copying other people and running it through ChatGPT and trying to regurgitate something which doesn't feel aligned or authentic. If you're building a platform and people are actually watching you and listening, and they feel connected to you and locked in, they can tell when those are not your words or the thoughts don't seem really aligned with said you were. Which is why we have to be careful about just having FOMO and wanting to just like throw something out there just to be relevant. And I also think a truth that we should know is that our voice is valuable. One of my big things is helping women in particular give more voice to their truth, as long as it's true, right? Because your voice is valuable, but that doesn't mean it's required for every single conversation. I think one of the most powerful things that we can do is know when to speak up and when to say the things that feel real and genuine to us. Because if not, this is how we get sucked into the trap of misalignment. We start just saying things and putting things out there to seem relevant. But what happens when you're not prepared for what comes on the other side of that? Because no matter what your intention was, no good deed shall go unpunished. Winston Churchill quote. No good deed shall go unpunished. And so, no matter what your intention was, if you are not 10 toes down for what you're saying and you're just reacting and wanting to be a part of the conversation from an emotional FOMO scarcity mindset place, you are going to do yourself more harm than good. Because one thing about it, I've had different times where I have said what I wanted to say in the way that I wanted to say it. And one of those times was during the pandemic in 2020, during the George Floyd outburst, like everything that happened during that time. I put out a video called Dear White Friend. I think it was called Dear White Friend or Dear White People. I don't remember at the moment. But I told the story of when I was on the Dr. Oz show and ended up on the elevator at the Waldorf Astoria in New York. And, a man blocked me from getting off the elevator, and all of the other people in the elevator who said good morning to me and seemed to smile at me and be fine, when he did it and blocked me literally with a long umbrella and said, I said, ladies first, and how abrupt all that was. And I was in shock. Here I am being asked to come to the Dr. Oz show, and I'm flown out from California to New York as this thought leader and this expert. And this man saw nothing but a Black person who was beneath him. That was my genuine experience. And so I shared that during 2020. And I had people send messages trying to gaslight me. Maybe he didn't know you were a woman. You do look kind of manly. Maybe did you have a jacket on because it was raining? Maybe he thought you were a guy. I mean, I was getting all kind of things. Why do I say this? I say this because at the time I was very clear about what my message was. And there was something that I felt compelled to offer to the conversation. In particular, I was talking to a lot of my white friends, and I was saying, if you call yourself an ally, when we're in scenarios like this, you are the one who needs to speak up, because at that moment, this person doesn't see me. This person doesn't see me as worthy, and you would need to speak up. Now, why do I say that? At the time, I was speaking from my genuine authenticity. It was not just to make sure I could throw something in the conversation. So when I lost thousands of followers, I was unbothered. When people started to say silly things to me in response to that video first coming out, I was unbothered because I was operating from authenticity. When you are going to lend your voice to a conversation, be ready for what comes with it. Some of us let FOMO put us in misaligned, inauthentic, disingenuous conversations, and then we are not mentally prepared to handle what comes on the other side. We're not prepared for it. And that's not to scare you by any means. It's just to give you a little pause that when you want to participate in the conversation, especially as an emerging thought leader, a business owner, there's so much for us to navigate. But let's make sure that we navigate this from a place of genuine authenticity, from peace, and from alignment. Not just to say that we did, because that's what we see quite a bit, right? So I wanted to offer you a few of these things. And if this is making sense to you so far, just say, I got you. I see you beneath the surface. I think authenticity and originality goes further. I absolutely agree. Yeah. Woo child. Oh, I added the child. I need to hear this because I know it's coming. Yeah, at some point, there's gonna come a time when you are going to say something that doesn't please everyone. That's the pressure of having a platform, right? 100% of the people will not 100% of the time. Ta-da! Just not going to happen. But if you are building your platform on truth and on values that just align with you genuinely, then you can weather whatever comes with that. And that's why it's so important to build whatever you're building on a firm foundation. Nothing fake, nothing flimsy, nothing faulty, not out here just trying to borrow other people's words. To be a thought leader, we need to lead with our original thoughts, or at least our take and distinctions on thoughts, but not just copying and just forcing ourselves in conversations that don't always align with even what we talk about or what we desire. So here's a few things that I wanted to leave you with. Number one, as we're talking about this, the pressure of platform. Number one, contrary to popular belief, silence is not weakness. Silence is not weakness. If sharing an opinion is just not authentic to you, it is okay to be quiet. It is okay to be quiet, to scroll on, to not feel like you have to jump in the game on this one. You do not need to force a perspective just because the internet is demanding of it. And this is where I see a lot of people go wrong. They assume that if I am silent on a topic, I am not relatable, I'm not relevant, I'm not in the know. No, that's not true. Because here's number two, not every opinion is for public consumption. Just because you have a thought doesn't mean that it belongs online, and doesn't mean that you need to do these deep dissertations everywhere if it's not genuine and authentic to you. I think that some opinions are better shared in safe, aligned spaces rather than performative ones. And what we see a lot of are people grandstanding and being performative just to say, you know, I got it, or I was the first to say the thing. And I've read some wonderful posts just even about the halftime show and Kendrick Lamar. Audrey Richmond put up a great post. Varian Brandon put up a great post. Like, I saw some really great posts on Facebook, loved it, didn't feel like I needed to participate in that. Some of you guys need to take your power back. because this lack of power is makes you feel like I need to go insert myself in everybody's stuff. No, you don't. No, you don't. Some of those opinions can be held in private spaces. They don't have to just all be out there, especially if they're not, it's not something you really thought through and it's just emotional, right? It's okay to take a step back and understand that every opinion is not for public consumption. And then another thought I wanted to give you before I give you some things to do if you are feeling called to speak up, is understanding that scarcity mindset will pull you into a misaligned conversation that sometimes you won't be able to get out of. Scarcity mindset will pull you into a misaligned conversation. So that fear of missing out should never drive you to engage in topics that don't even align with your core values, right? Your peace is so much more valuable than performative relevance. Some of you say you value peace, and then this scarcity mindset that makes you feel like you need to be a part of everything, you go out and invite chaos in. And then you feel bad when people are misunderstanding you or when they're judging you or when they're saying things. You know what? It doesn't necessarily bother me at this point, and this is something I've worked through for years, but it doesn't bother me at this point if we put out some type of content and somebody puts a comment that they don't agree with me, they don't like me. I mean, I've been interviewed thousands of times, literally, and there's no shortage of things out there with me on it where people will be in the comments saying, oh, she's this or she's that. I spoke from my heart. I spoke my truth. You can't tell me what my truth is. There's nothing about me that came out here to perform for you. I came to do this interview because I was invited to give voice to my truth, right? And if you were clear on that, it's not a matter of like having to perform for anyone. You're coming from authenticity, right? But when you are in performance mode, and some of the performances, I want to look smart, I want to just look like I'm super engaged and I'm woke and I'm relevant and all the things, and you're thinking, oh, this is going to build my brand. That very idea, which comes from scarcity, is the thing that could destroy what you've been working for. But like I said, when I said what I said in that Dear White Friend video in 2020, I lost thousands of followers. And I was okay with everyone that released themselves because they were clearly not assigned to me in that season. But make sure when you speak up, it's aligned with your values so that when people show that they don't align with your values, you don't miss them on the way out. You don't miss them on the way out. It's so okay for them to leave, right? We wish them well. But misalignment is not a gift to them or to us. So when people are ready to release themselves, then we allow that and we don't lose any sleep about it. All right. So if you're feeling called to speak up, because we're only a few weeks into this year and 2025 is promising to be a doozy. And so there is going to be times when you do feel compelled to speak up, but you want to do it from a place of authenticity and alignment. So here are some things that I want you to consider. First of all, pause. Never start to post. Don't let the pressure of, oh, I have a platform, so I need to say something. Remember, silence is not weakness, and you don't have to be the first to market. And it's so incredible. It's so interesting to me. People will be the first to be a part of these think pieces, but then not the first to share about what they are supposed to be promoting for their own business. Lots to say. Lots to say when it's about, what's going on and, oh, I'm relevant, I'm on it. But when it's time to speak up about what you do, why you do it, who you do it for, what you have going on, what you need to sell, all of a sudden folks get quiet. They don't have anything to say. That's interesting, and also a recipe for going out of business. so so before you jump into all the things, again, let me give you these 3 tips and I'm out of your way. Number 1, pause and ask yourself, is this actually my assignment? Because not every conversation is yours to lead, right? So you want to say, do I have true knowledge? Do I have experience? Do I have any value to add? I don't even think sometimes people are thinking before they throw all this stuff out there. Do I have any value to add? Because if you're a thought leader, a business owner, there are other people who are coming to your page, and that one thing can't be in totality who you are if it's not aligned with even what you talk about. I'm not saying that when you insert yourself in these conversations that it has to be aligned with your business, but it should, if you can, get it to align so that it makes sense, or else you're just saying things, right? So you ask yourself, do I have the knowledge, experience, any that, or am I speaking out of pressure, right? Or am I speaking out of pressure? If it's, I have the knowledge, I have experience, I have a story. In my case, in 2020, I shared a story that did add value. And I should say that after the first several thousand people left, tens of thousands more came. So I lost a lot of people who were not aligned, but I also attracted a great deal of people from that one post where it was clearly aligned. And some of those ladies became clients and, students, and attended events and all those things. And again, I would never regret actually doing that. And I didn't have to, because it came from authenticity. So the first one is pause and ask, is this my assignment? Here's the second one. It's to also know that we believe that every time we want to make a statement or have a conversation about something, it needs to be in social media. Social media is not the only part of the world, right? You have offline influence. There are so many other things that you can do to have conversations that are powerful if what is happening is genuinely meaningful to you, because not every opinion belongs online. Some conversations, again, are best had in like a safe, thoughtful space. I remember also during that time in 2020, 2021, hosting some Zoom calls with a few girlfriends. One of those calls was with my girlfriend, Brooke Thomas. And Brooke Thomas and I wanted to do this conversation where my mastermind was primarily Black women and hers was primarily white women. And we came together on a Zoom call where it was safe to have this powerful private conversation where these white mothers got to ask these Black mothers, why are you afraid to send your son out in a hoodie? Like, what does that mean to you? The conversations were so powerful, and it was a few hours, and it was literally something that I believe was life changing on both sides. People got to ask questions in such a beautiful space where there was no judgment, there was no criticism. It was just be honest. People learned a lot on both sides. And I just say that to say that sometimes it is okay to create the impact that you want to create without just throwing something out on social media to say you did. If it feels really aligned and it feels authentic and you want to do something that creates change, perhaps hosting some type of private conversation or doing it via your email list, or inviting people in for a conversation where you can give more context and there can be some back and forth versus I'm just going to throw something emotional out there and hope for the best. Because again, I want you to create platforms that help you redefine wealth. If we're just doing a lot of stuff that doesn't align, that's actually undermining the vision that you say you have. And it can feel like, oh, I do something good, I got a lot of likes. But how is it actually moving you forward in the bigger context of things? Okay. And here's the last one. It's just use your voice strategically. So I think I said this already, but if your topic aligns with your values and purpose, formulate a response that actually educates, that uplifts, maybe challenges some thinking in a productive way. We don't want to be people as purpose chasers who just react. We want to respond with impact. We want to respond with impact. We want to be thoughtful. And if the idea that if I don't get it out right now and I'm not the first to be right, and then I have to defend everything I say and argue back and forth with people, if that's not a recipe for no peace, I don't know what is. So it's not saying, I'm not saying don't have an opinion. I'm not saying don't put anything out there. I'm just saying be careful. I've seen a lot. I've watched a lot of things happen. I've had a lot of things happen in my own career, and this pressure of platform is real. This pressure to feel like you have to always be loud and first. And I don't know if you remember when people used to say, well, you can't be loud and wrong. You can't be loud and wrong. There's such a pressure to do all the things. And a part of what I help people do is come back into alignment and take their power back, so you don't always feel like you have to bend or break at the pressure of what the outside world wants you to do. That you always know that you are grounded and powerful, and that your word carries weight. So you are intentional about how you add your voice in the space. Because if you're not, again, I think you threaten or jeopardize all the things that you said you've been working for, and it's not worth it. It's not worth it. If it's not your assignment, it's okay to be silent. It doesn't make you any less of a thought leader. It doesn't make you any less of an expert. It doesn't make you any less woke. It doesn't make you any less engaged. It makes you thoughtful and intentional and strategic. It makes you, I think, even more potent and powerful when you can even command that 60 people come to a space to talk to you about a subject. I think we underestimate how amazing that is, to get 60 people to stop what they're doing and listen to you for any length of time. If you can get 10 people on a Zoom, if you could get 5 people on a Google Meet and say, I just want to have some thoughtful conversation about this, there are ways, to Vivian's point earlier, to get it out so that you don't implode, but also so you're just thoughtful about how you're using your voice and how you get it out. Because again, we want you to be rooted on a solid foundation. We want your platform to be something that can pivot and evolve as time goes on. I've had to make several pivots in the 10, oh gosh, I'm saying 10, no, 2014, 11, really longer than that. Oh goodness, 13. It's been about 13 years since I was named Money Maven, and going on 8 years of redefining wealth. And so I've had to pivot and evolve over and over again. And this is one of those areas where staying aligned, being authentic, being genuine, and really holding space for my voice, not trying to regurgitate other people's voice so that I can appear like I'm a part of the conversation, have served me and allowed me to be very consistent, and still called upon for my thoughts. And so that's what I wanted to share tonight. I do hope that that's a blessing to you. Out of the 3 things I said, that you could take with you, which one resonates? The first one was pause and ask yourself, is this my assignment? Does that seem like something that you could apply immediately? Because we're going to continue to have a zillion news stories this year and on and on. And so just giving yourself an opportunity to pause. Does this sound like something that you can do? How many of you are tired of fussing with people on social media or having a lot of back and forth? Do you think you can pause and say, is this my assignment? I love that Lisa said it's okay to be silent. Yeah, because silence is not weakness. Weakness. Yeah. I don't have to force a perspective because the internet is demanding that. Okay. So I see some yes, Sharon, I can pause. Wonderful. And then what about thinking about having some private conversations? I actually think that makes you even more powerful as a thought leader, is to curate your own little space somewhere and say, I want to invite people in to have a conversation about this. It's definitely different than a lot of people's approach, because a lot of people just want to go big and all the things. But what if you went deeper? A part of what I want to do at Redefining Wealth Live is people are trying to go big and have huge events. And what feels most authentic for me is to have smaller spaces where I go deeper with fewer people. That is aligned for me. That's my energy. It's my temperament. It's who I am. And so instead of forcing myself to try to do, the model that's been done, I was like, what if I just let myself do what feels good for me? And so at Redefining Wealth Live this year, and if you want to get on the wait list, please go to redefiningwealthlive.com. On March 15th, we're releasing the tickets and in honor of my 44th birthday, which is March 15th, and also National Redefining Wealth Day, which is this little plaque right here, that certificate. I'm only releasing 44 tickets to have a really intimate space so that I can host those deeper conversations. I think that that is a very powerful way to be able to share your sentiments and really have dialogue as opposed to just being someone who wants clicks and wants people to try to agree or argue with you. It's just another way to look at it. It just depends on what you value. And then I said number three, use your voice strategically. So if the topic does align with your values and purpose, for example, a part of what I do is make sure that you are building authentic and aligned and platforms and brands. So my conversation in all of this is to talk you through the pressure of platform. It was not to debate what um, Kendrick Lamar's chain meant. That's just not my space in the world. It's not to debate every piece. Now, would I have conversations with friends or family members or something? Sure. But everything is just not for public consumption. And I just wanted to free someone who may be thinking, oh gosh, what am I supposed to say? I got to participate. What, let me see what I like. If it's not aligned with how you feel called to show up, it's okay. I just came here to tell one person it's okay. Your brand will survive. You will be fine. There will be other things that you need to jump into the conversation on. And at that time, you will know. If you're asking or forcing it, it's probably not your time. But when something drops into your spirit and it feels completely aligned and like, oh, I want to make sure people know this, then now you can drop into number three, using your voice strategically. Man, I'm going to formulate a response that really educates and uplifts. I want to challenge some default thinking. I want to give some productive tips. And now you can go about it in a way that feels aligned for you. Not because you're forced, but because you truly desire to add your voice to the conversation. It's not from scarcity. It's not from FOMO. It's not from, oh my gosh, I won't be valuable or relevant. It is from a place of genuine authenticity. And so that is what I can offer. And that is what, right? And so I hope that this is an example to you to leverage these platforms that you're building to give voice to your truth. Don't get sucked into everybody's demands on the internet. That is exhausting, and that is a surefire way to not set yourself up to be able to pivot as needed, right? When you're ready to pivot, when your soul is calling you to pivot, or just when times require that. So I hope that's a blessing to you all. Let's see. One of the reasons people go big on everything, especially on social media. Let me read this. Hey, TJ. One of the reasons people go big on everything, especially on social media, is because most people do business or have this platform for the likes and the followers. Oh yeah, no, I totally understand that. That they have it for that purpose. I just don't think that they have to insert themselves in that way though. If you have the platform for, the ability to reach people, then reach them in the way that feels most aligned, because when it's really off, people can feel it. Even if they can't say it or they can't put their finger on it, they can feel it. It just needs to feel authentic. And just in the last 24 hours, I've read so many things that don't even seem like the person that I know who has the account would even say the things that I saw them say. So I'm just like, don't feel the pressure to perform. That's probably what I should have named this. The pressure of platform is the pressure to perform. Yeah, have a conversation around the same time, but who said it has to be um trying to be in the debate of it all? If you're not ready to fight for that, why? I mean, you can put it out there. I'm just saying. I'm not saying don't say the things. What I'm saying is say it. Be clear about why you're saying it. Know why you want your opinion out there. And then if it doesn't go your way, don't start cursing people out on this platform that you created for a completely different reason. Maybe that's what I should have said too. Because some people have a professional platform and then they get into every personal debate that is in pop culture or in the news or all these things, and then you can't handle the feedback. If you're not prepared to stand for what you said, why are you saying it? If you're not prepared, don't come and start talking about how everybody needs to get cursed out and you're blocking everybody and all these things. You started it. You entered the conversation from the pressure of performance and the pressure of platform. So when it does not go your way, be prepared. Don't come back telling us about who said what. Just be prepared. That's all I'm saying. If I add anything, I'm ready. During the California fires, when there were so many people saying stuff about oh, California's on fire because of Sodom and Gomorrah, and this is like, and I'm from California. I grew up, um, you know, I grew up in California with wildfires. Like these things are not new to us. And people lost homes before, of course, not in this to this magnitude. But to hear people saying all of the things that they were saying during that time, oh, I definitely made a post on my Facebook and I was ready. I inserted myself in the conversation and I was ready because it was authentic to me. And when it is not authentic and it's not aligned, and it doesn't have to be about California, I've said things about other places and other things. If I'm ready to say something, I'm going to say it. But I don't say it from a place of pressure because I have a platform now I have to perform for people. No. If my soul is compelled, then that's when I speak up because I'm not afraid to be silent and to keep my conversations intimate when that is what's called. When that is what's called for me. But when I'm called to speak up, you better know I'm going to say something. And I have, and I will continue to do so, but it'll never be because I'm performing. And I think that's the point. Is the pressure of platform makes people perform and then they're not ready to handle the backlash of their performance. And that's the problem that I see quite a bit. Um, this conversation, the pressure of platform, is a work pillar conversation. Um, I see it as such because most of our platforms are connected to purpose, and I consider the work pillar living your life's purpose. So I would say that this is a work pillar conversation if you want to file it under anything. But yeah, always speak from authenticity, always speak from a genuine spirit. Um, and go from there. I don't understand what is. I'm sorry, I'm trying to follow the comments. Are you talking about? It's confusing when people contradict the authenticity for having an opinion. What does that mean? What does that mean? It's confusing when people contradict the authenticity for having an opinion. Are you like? Tell me more. Are you saying like when someone states their opinion and then someone else states their authentic opinion and then they want to fight about it? Because that's always like I posted something on my Facebook the other day, and a lot of people had different opinions than what I was saying, and I loved all of their opinions. I went through and loved them. They were different than mine, but I can respect them. I didn't debate with them and go back and forth. I love their opinions. I put something out because it was authentic to me, and I'm fully prepared to handle what comes with the other side of that, right? But when you are being radically honest, you just have to be someone who's also prepared for other people's radical honesty. That's a part of embracing radical honesty. When you are radically honest, you have to also be willing to give people the space to be radically honest as well. And that comes in the form sometimes of debate on social media. And so if that's not what you desire, then find another way to add your voice to the conversation rather than jumping in from emotion or trying to perform. That's really my take on it. Yeah. Oh yeah, and the meanness about this. Yeah. It was sad. It was sad to watch. It would yeah, that's a whole nother thing. But I do have to log off. But those are some of the main people that seem to be offended, the ones that can't handle the results or weight of what they say. Yeah. Absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. So, again, I'm going to save this. I hope that it's a blessing to you. Again, I just know that there's going to be so many things that come up. And I just wanted to give a few people some permission here to know that your silence is not weakness. And if you don't feel like you have to, force an opinion in the conversation, don't. You are safe. You are okay. You will be fine. Your brand, your business, your thought leadership will survive. But when it is time to speak up, be ready and make sure that you do it from a place of understanding what your assignment is, um, what conversation you can bring to the table that is powerful, and how you can just use your voice strategically. But other than that, we're just performing, and that there's nothing authentic about that. So, I hope this blesses you. Again, if you want to get on the wait list for Redefining Wealth Live, I do invite you to come on over. RedefiningWealthLive.com is where you can jump on the wait list. Tickets go on sale March 15th. I am so excited about what I have planned for this year and how we're going to definitely go deeper into making sure that you leverage the 6 pillars of wealth to protect whatever the vision is you say you have for your life. No matter what is happening this year, purpose is not postponed. Your vision is still valid. There is so much that you still have to offer. And knowing how to move this authentically and get fully aligned, because some of us are actually working against what we say we want. We say we have certain values, and then the way we set up the pillars of our lives and even conversations like this actually go against it. And so we're going to be doing that work for 3 days in Atlanta, 2025. So we're about 6.5 months or 7 months out. And also, if you're brand new here, what you should know, thank you, the seer, for dropping this in the comments. What you should know is I also go live every single day in the Redefining Wealth app that is completely free to you. Come over and join us. We have so many great conversations every single day. Some days are super silly, some days are super serious, and some days are just something in between. But it's my way of giving back to my community. Every single day, we have thoughtful conversations, and you are invited to join us. So please do so. Consider this your invitation. I'm Patrice Washington. Thank you guys so much for being here. This will be saved. I will post the replay in the app as well. And I hope that it blesses you all. All right. Have a wonderful evening, and I'll talk to you later. Bye bye.